Welcome everyone to the Play Pouch podcast. My name is Nick. I'm with my partner in crime, Pete.
Hello.
And before we get started, how are you doing, Pete?
I'm all right. Not bad.
You're right.
Yeah, it's had a bit of a scare earlier, but
Yeah, PC scare, but we're okay now.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But before we get started, if you guys could please do the etc. You know what they are. Please subscribe if you haven't. Leave us a like. You can leave us a comment, ask us questions, or stuff like that. We're still under 100 subs, but that is obviously our first target, so we are still going to march on.
As much as it is a good number,
it is
we
a good
would
number.
Like more subscribers. Yeah.
It's not a bad number to stay at, but yeah, it is. The march to 100 is on. So if you guys could do that, it would be great. But so today's podcast is we're going to be covering 3 stories again that have popped up over the last week or so. One of them is a little bit older, but and it's maybe something we should have covered on the last podcast, but I forgot, to be honest. So we can discuss it here.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 3 stories for you. One about the specs that's being released with the PlayStation, the new PlayStation. It's coming out. It will most likely be this year, probably in time for Christmas.
Yeah.
We've got a story on the Resident Evil 5 remake, which would be the next one up because they've remade the first 4, but there may be problems ahead, which shouldn't be problems. And the third one is Dragon's Dogma, which I had on my most anticipated list for this year, and I have kept an eye on, but it looks like, unfortunately, it's another unfinished game with a bunch of hidden microtransactions that, of course, they didn't give to reviewers.
Yeah.
So that's the premise. So, Pete, do you have a preference? If not, I'll just choose one.
Choose one, mate. Let's dive right in.
Choose one.
Yeah.
Let's go for the oldest news. So we'll cover the Resident Evil one first. Okay. So I played the original Resident Evil 5 back when it came out. I can't remember the exact year, but I played it with our mate Alan in a co-op game. It was the first time Resident Evil had ever done co-op.
Yeah.
And it was still quite a newish thing, co-op, really. There wasn't that many. It's not like it is now. So it was quite a newish thing, especially in a game like this. And me and Alan loved it. But we can admit that it wasn't it wasn't scary like the other ones were. It had become much more of an action game, right? And that's true. And a lot of Resident Evil fans didn't like that.
Yeah,
I liked that game, but I can also see where they were coming through. If you wanted your Resident Evils to be scary, it wasn't that game. It was an action game. But that aside, the topic is people don't think it can be remade because people think that the game was racist. Because the majority of the people, I say people lightly, because these are technically, they're not zombies, but they're like infected with like parasites and stuff like that, with all this crazy stuff happening. So
yeah,
I guess they're people, but they're people you're kind of putting out of their misery because they probably don't want to be these things. But of course, because it's set in Africa, where more people than not are black. And that apparently is why it can't be remade, because they're claiming now that Resident Evil 5 was racist.
All right. Okay. Have they said that they're not going to remake it? Because
no, they haven't said they're not going to remake it. But it's like, and the Capcom actually haven't come out and said anything at all, because they haven't announced that it's being made. But of course, it makes sense that would be the next one. But it's all like a lot of YouTubers, influencers, places like IGN and stuff like that are all saying, "Oh, it can't be remade because it's racist." That's what they're saying, and it's like, and I don't believe that. I don't think you do either. But what's your thoughts, Pete?
Okay, I think this is absolutely fucking ridiculous, and I think it goes against everything that is creative design in terms of everything. You can't start limiting people's creative boundaries just because something's, racist or possibly racist, according to some brain dead idiots who have IQs that are their shoe size. It's not racist whatsoever. It's a story. An infection has broken out in Africa, and the people who are
Las Plagas is what it's called.
Las Plagas, right?
Las Plagas, yeah.
And they all happen to be black people that were infected. So no one has cried racist when white people were like infected with like various viruses, have they? Like the previous
No,
4 titles, no one's complained about that. So why all of a sudden is it a complaint when it comes to black people? Would we be complaining if they were Chinese people? Would we be complaining if they were Russian or right? Indian?
it just fits. It just fits the narrative of 2024, bruv, doesn't it? Let's be
It's
honest.
just people jumping on the fucking bandwagon again. I'm tired of it. It actually just makes me laugh. It's at the point where I'm like, oh, you bunch of bellends. It's like they're always seeking to fucking find something to have a go at. No, it's not racist at all, mate. It really isn't. And if Capcom had balls, they would just go ahead and remake it.
Well, okay, so the parts which I think more people, or some going a bit deeper into it, that some of the depictions of, I remember certain levels of the game where there's obviously there's tribesmen, from lack of a better word, right?
Yeah.
Who obviously are black, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and they're firing flaming arrows and all these things at you. And I think people think that for some reason, like, now I'll be honest, I haven't been to Africa, right? I don't know if you have. I haven't been to Africa.
No, I haven't.
Right, to see how close that is, and that's the truth. But from what I do know, and that is limited, is that there is tribes and stuff like that there. So I don't really see it. Now, if there's somebody who's lived in Africa and they would come back and they would say, and then I would value their opinion a lot more. Somebody who's lived in Africa and they're saying, well, no, that's not right. And maybe, but it's like video games. I mean, people look at stuff like films. It's just,
okay, look.
I don't get it.
Right.
I don't get it.
The issue is that these people are sort of saying, oh, well, you can't just have a whole tribe of black people with bows and flaming arrows and shit like that. You can't have them all like, it's like it's cultural appropriation or misrepresentation or whatever you want to bloody call it. It's like,
yeah, but
this is
Pete,
what
they're not being classed as bad people. They're infected. Really, they are. It's tragic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? They're not being depicted as evil. They're not evil. They're infected. So
that's
that's
the whole point of the story. Yeah, of course, I agree with you. And when we played it, when it first came out, this whole racism issue, no one batted an eyelid over it. No one, because why? They got the point. They got the point that these people were infected with something, right? And it just happened to be set in Africa. Now, whether African tribesmen use bows and flaming arrows or whatever, is neither.
And blow darts and stuff like that. I don't.
It's neither here nor there, mate. It's just like it doesn't matter. What matters is the story, and Capcom decided to do a story set in Africa, right? Because they wanted something different, and we got something different. I thought it was, I thought it was a good game. The first sort of act was great. I don't remember much of everything else. I know me and you played through it for a bit.
Yeah.
It was a fine game. It was whatever. It's the next title in the Resident Evil saga, and I don't see the problem. I really don't. It's just like what Morgan Freeman says. How do you stop racism? Stop fucking talking about it.
No.
Because it's like the only people that are being racist are the people that keep bringing it up. I bet you any money, if we went out onto the street and started doing surveys, if we went up to black people and said, what do you think about this game? I don't know whether you know about it or not. Do you think that there should be a remake because of, right? Explain the situation to them. And I bet you any fucking money they'd be like, so go for it. I don't give a shit.
And the thing is, Pete, and this is I think is the biggest kind of like way. This for me says that they have absolutely no legs to stand on. I know you won't remember it as much as me, but the two protagonists, you've got Chris Redfield, who yes is an American white dude because that's what he's always been.
Yeah.
But the player 2 is an African lady called Sheva.
Yeah.
And she is portrayed as a strong woman without being overbearing. like they can be. She's portrayed as a strong woman who is Chris's equal and who saves him multiple times
Mm,
and who tries and does the right thing and feels bad about what's going on. And she's African, right?
yeah.
She's from the African like special police over there, right? And there's also another character called Josh who is black, African, who works alongside her. He's not a main character; he's like a side character who survives, and he is trustworthy, saves them, and portrayed as a courageous, strong character. So that says it all, doesn't it? You've already got two characters, one of which is playable,
Yeah.
and the other one which survives the game and is a big part of it and saves them multiple times. So two of the three kind of really main protagonists in the game are African and black.
No, it's
So
yeah,
there we are.
yeah. It's ridiculous, dude, and I think it's just kicking up a storm for no reason, just for views. This is another problem as well. It's like people have run out of things to talk about in terms of things going viral and stuff. So they're generating shit. They're looking for stuff to have a go at, and this is the latest one. So yeah, whatever, man.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I don't. Maybe Capcom will be a little bit of pussies, to lack of a better word. Maybe they will. Maybe they would be like, you know what? Maybe we're not going to touch this. Who knows? But there's only 2 games left for them to remake. So you assume that they're going to do 5 and then 6. So unless they've stopped at 4, I don't know why. If number 4 has made them an awful lot of money, and in the end, it is about the money, as you know. So
well, yeah.
we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see. And if they do go ahead and do 5, will there be pressure to change it?
You say
I hope not,
you,
but I can see it.
you say there's only 2, but there's actually 4 left. So
I was talking about the main titles.
yeah,
You're right.
I would personally like
Veronica
to
and
see
stuff like
a Resident Evil
Yeah.
0 and 1 remake. To be honest,
Yeah, maybe they will. Maybe a Code Veronica, which I've never played. Maybe they would remake that. Yeah, no, maybe you're right. Maybe they will cover them as well.
there is rumors that Code Veronica is next. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, Bulk Pursuit was talking about it, and he heard.
Well, you'll like that, Pete, because that's got your girl in it.
Who's that now? Oh yeah,
Claire Redfield.
yeah. My girl Claire.
You got. I know they'll probably be using the same model, so I know you'll be interested in that.
Oh, they better. They fucking better, bro. Yeah. They better not do like a Chris at the end of 7 and then change it, in the 8. No. Yeah, all right. Well, no, it's all bollocks, mate. It's all bollocks. Move on.
Yeah. All right, the second one. Let's do the PlayStation Pro then. The tech specs have kind of come out. Now, You're more of a tech guy than I. So if you want to explain it, or if you've got the text in front of you, what do you think? They've said about 10% extra power. With me, who already owns a PlayStation, I'll just put it out there right away.
Yeah,
that ain't worth £400 for me.
It's okay. So it's not really just about the boost in CPU performance.
Okay.
Yes, the boost is increased by about 10% in terms of clock speed. The real thing is everything else. So like the caching and the GPU power, because with it, when you have, Digital Foundry will explain this a lot better than I will, but the basics of it is that when you have a frame being generated, it's not just about the CPU and the GPU. There's all these other kind of things going on behind the screen. It's all about scheduling and, the compute times and all these kind of things. And now that we've got, ray tracing factoring into the deal, it's like it's putting an extra strain on the CPU and the GPU. And when you have a system that's being announced. Now, we don't know whether this is all for sure solid specs. I mean, like a number of prominent people have said, yes, this is true. But the wattage of the PS4 Pro is the same, PS5 Pro is the same as PS5. The CPU die is the same. They went from 7 to 6 nanometers. And it looks like the PS5 Pro is going to have the same. It's got the same wattage. So there's a whole number of things working behind the scenes in terms of how the CPU works that controls the wattage and makes sure it doesn't overload and stuff like that. The GPU side of things, It's been beefed up a little bit. Apparently, from what it says on the paper, the PS5 Pro was like 10 or 11 teraflops, and the PS5 Pro is 33 teraflops. Now, that sounds great on paper, but realistically, it's really just sort of maybe, 1.5 to 2 times the power. So just because the CPU has a 10% boost, doesn't mean the whole system is 10% better. Basically, is what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
And so, yeah, basically, don't expect games to be 60 frames a second, even on the PS5 Pro. But expect, maybe like a sort of a 50% performance boost on the games you're already playing. And, it's really about the next gen consoles. And, you know how I feel
I
about
mean,
consoles, man.
Pete, 50%, that does sound a lot more.
Yeah.
That does sound like, well, if you've got money to spare, then that sounds tasty. If you already own a PlayStation,
Yeah.
would you say that's worth the money? Spend another 400?
It depends how much money you got. I mean, like, if you don't have much money, then no, don't bother. I mean, if you've got a spare few £100, then, knock yourselves out. But I won't. I mean, I don't own a PlayStation 5. I don't really fancy owning a PS5 Pro.
If you were going to buy a PlayStation, obviously you'd get the PlayStation 5 Pro, even if it was 100.
No,
I assume this is
no.
going to be more expensive.
I'd get a PS6, mate. I'd wait.
You would just wait.
Yeah, I don't like these mid-gen upgrades. I'm just going to say
No,
it.
I don't either.
I think it's cheap. I think it's just like a way of making more money, and I wish a lot more people would see through it, like we do. But I mean, like, as you said, actually, that if you don't have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, then go for these mid-gen upgrades, whatever. But
so, would you say that this PlayStation 5 Pro, when it does come out at the end of the year, assuming that whatever they're doing on Xbox side, whenever they announce whatever they're going to do, but let's say that the Xbox doesn't come out this year and just the PlayStation PS Pro does, would that make it the most powerful console then? It would be more powerful than the Xbox X, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably. But like, none of these consoles are particularly powerful. I mean, like, look, when it comes to things like ray tracing, it's a bit of a fad, because for many years we've tried. Well, games developers have tried to come up with ways of making things look more believable. So they've got things like, global illumination and indirect lighting and all this kind of stuff. And ray tracing makes everything look, accurate. That's basically what ray tracing is making everything more accurate to how it would in real life. But if you've got all these techniques in place which are doing the same thing to a fairly accurate degree, then ray tracing really isn't that much of a big deal. The thing that is a big deal is path tracing, which is the next step forward beyond ray tracing. Now, even my 4060 struggles with path tracing. It's not something that's meant to be real time yet, but I'm hoping that for the next generation consoles, path tracing is a thing. But people want frames, right? As long as a game looks decent, I don't think people care. So as long as it's 60 frames a second, great. But I mean,
that's all. I mean, everyone's going to be a bit different, Pete. But that. Like, for me, I care about performance over definition of the graphics. I always prefer performance.
Yeah.
I mean, if they could sell it to me, like, okay, Nick. So every game you play on PlayStation, if you get the PlayStation Pro, every game you play, you'll be able to play 60 frames per second. That would be a tough thing for me to say no to, because I value 60 frames on my game so much. And for games like Starfield, for example, which I don't own on PlayStation, but I would be tempted to get it on PlayStation if I could play that on 60 frames per second, because that was one of the big drawing things that I couldn't stand. So
the issue is neither console developer, neither Microsoft or Sony, want to have a huge leap, because that sort of fucks up the development process for things. If you have a console that comes out which is like 5 times as powerful as the previous console, then whatever game that developers are working on at the time, they're probably going to have to go back to square one when it comes to optimizing and rebuilding their code and stuff, because it's a brand new set of kernels or computes and whatever that Digital Foundry sort of describes them, terminology, whatever, compute units or whatever. So yeah, they have to. It has to be a slow, steady rise, I think. I mean, like if you ask all the developers to stop developing for a year or two, and then they give them the new software, hardware development kits or software development kits for the new consoles, then we'd all be fine. But yeah, I mean, like as I said, yeah, I'm hoping that the next Xbox and PlayStation after these mid-gen upgrades are going to have a decent boost. But because I mostly play games on my PC, I mean, like it's the stuff that I can't play on PC, like GTA6 is going to be locked to console for probably a year before it comes out on PC, which is fine.
You'll have to go buy it and join us on the consoles, Pete, for that game.
Yeah, so and I'm not allowed to play any Monster Hunter games on the PC because you said I can't, because I'm just going to cheat. And
at least you're honest about it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I cheat in games. Fucking sue me. I don't give a shit. It's good fun. But only after I've played a game through. I mean, yeah, I'm not just going to cheat outright. So, yeah. No, I mean, like, yeah, that's basically it. If you haven't got a console, then, get these mid-gen upgrades. I don't expect either to be released this year, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah,
think so?
I think they're going to be sort of like early next year or summer next year, something like that, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so maybe obviously I was taking the 10% based upon just obviously the kind of narrative, but after you've explained it, yeah, it sounds like it might be a bit more than 10%. I don't know. Probably I won't, because I don't want to spend another £400. You could do something like sell your old one. You might be able to get 200 quid, maybe, on eBay or something. So you could maybe sell it and then put 200 quid towards the PlayStation Pro. There's options, but I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave it there for that one. So the last story, Pete, is, so Dragon's Dogma 2. Now, you never played either one, did you? I mean, you haven't played this one that's come out, and you didn't play the first one. No. So I missed the first one, but I heard good things about it, especially about this whole pawn system, where you can play, where your mates can join your game as like avatars and stuff like that. And that stuff apparently is all still in there. So I'm glad that they have retained that. But we're not really talking about the quality of the game. It's more, I don't think anyone's really talking about the quality of the game. It's all about,
just as well, really.
It's a little bit of a buggy mess. Maybe not that it crashes every second. I don't think it's the most buggiest game in the world, but apparently it runs terribly.
Well, we're used to having games released in a bad state, aren't we? So if we look at how it's, if we sort of imagine in its best, most optimized state, it still looks like shit. I mean, it's not at the level of fidelity that other games are at. I mean, like, like the characters design and I mean, okay, so I was watching Bork Basoup. He's a great YouTuber, sub to him. I don't mind pushing his channel because he's a funny lad.
Fun by me.
He was playing it and he was just laughing. It's just hilarious. And at the end of the tutorial, you have to fight Medusa.
Is it a good Medusa? Because I like Medusa from the original Clash of the Titans. We're going back to 77 or something. Is it a good Medusa, Pete? At least tell me it's a good Medusa.
No,
Oh, for fuck's sake.
no. That's the short answer. The long answer is that you know how if you look directly into Medusa's eyes, you turn to stone,
Yeah, that was the point.
right? But there's like this moment just before you fight her where these soldiers are running away and they all turn to stone anyway because she's looked at
Even
them.
though, even though they're not looking at her.
Yeah, no, they're running in the opposite direction and they all turn to stone. And I was just like, whatever, man.
Fuck.
But the real damning thing was when you defeat her, and the way she sort of scuttles away because she survives, right? You don't kill her.
She scuttles away. You don't even kill her then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just like, okay, this is cheap, right? And you know, I mean, I don't know much about games design and stuff like that, but even I knew that that was cheap, and I think that was the moment when I turned it off. I was like, okay, I'm done. No way, bruv. This ain't no Baldur's Gate 3. So
No, it doesn't look like it is going to be that. Even if it did run well, it doesn't look like it's going to be to that quality.
yeah,
But then again, a few games are, to be honest.
Mm.
But it does. Unfortunately, it gets worse
yeah.
because it's not just about the performing of the game. So now we're going into the great business tactics again of a video games company. So what they did, obviously, they sent out the review copies so that all the influencers and all the websites and everything can review it. And then after the game came out, they stealth bombed, from lack of a better term, all these microtransactions that were never there in a review copy, so that all the reviewers and everything, so much so that I've seen a couple of reviewers put videos up apologizing because they feel duped, the fact that, oh, I've recommended or whatever their review score was, but I didn't talk about it because they didn't know the microtransactions are going to be there. That's real shitty for a start.
So hang on, what you're saying is they gave a version of the game to influencers. They let them play it, and
without and microtransactions weren't there.
And then they stealth bombed, dropped the.
Then when it came out, then all the microtransactions appeared. Yeah.
Wow.
So that they got. I don't know how positive the reviews are, but they got reviews where microtransactions weren't taken into account.
Wow.
So then some of the YouTubers and everything, I've seen some of them had to post videos almost like apologizing, like if you've gone ahead and bought this game and thinking that I didn't disclose it, I just didn't know about it. That's what they're saying. Because they feel obviously like, you know, it's cheap. That's real fucking cheap, bro.
Capcom, that is cheap. That is disgusting. I assume it is Capcom, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Fucking and Capcom. So that's crappy. And then you go through the transactions, and a lot of it. Now, firstly, guys, just in case you don't know, this is a single player game. It's not live service. It's not even like Monster Hunter, which is kind of live service without really the battle passes and everything. So there's no co-op, there's no multiplayer. It's a single player game. Like I said, the only multiplayer part is the fact that your mates' avatars from their single player games can be recruited for your game, which is cool. I like that. Sounds a lot of fun. That's cool. But it's not a live service game. So all these microtransactions are for a single player game. And of course, they give you certain currencies and stuff like that you need, or resources you can buy for real money that you use to craft stuff and everything like that. But it turns out, and I think there's like a camp kit as well, but it turns out that the majority of things they sell, other than I think free items, can actually be gotten in the game.
Right.
So how to view that?
So is it like
there's free items that can't be? There's free items that you can't get that is only able to get via money. I believe one is a necklace that you have to give to people, which boosts their affinity for you, which I'm assuming is friendship, or maybe it's for romance options for the girls or the, you know. So there's a dependent, and then there's a certain like camp, because you have to camp in the game. There's a certain camp that is exclusive as well, which apparently weighs less. And you might think, Pete, well, who cares about that? Well, apparently the whole over encumber is just like in Starfield. Apparently that's a nightmare. You're not given enough. You know, you can only carry so much, and the more you carry, the slower your character moves. Bloody hell!
Don't surprise me. But okay, so is the whole microtransactions thing similar to Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed, where they're selling you XP upgrades? And
I don't think there's XP upgrades. I don't think there's
Well, that's
XP
what
ranks.
Affinity is, isn't it?
Oh no, Affinity. When I meant Affinity, I mean like it's like the pendant you give to. I'm assuming it works the same way like a romance option. Affinity is like so they like you more. That's what I mean by Affinity.
Okay. All right. Well,
So
the fact that they stealth bombed it was shitty. And that's another notch off my respect for Capcom. It's getting very low, Capcom. Just saying. Yeah, I mean, like that's disgusting, bro. I mean, like the game kind of looks like arse anyway. So, I mean, fucking assholes. Like, it's unbelievable. It's like, did they think they were going to get away with that, or what?
well, I'm actually going to read a little bit of quotes. So bear with me a sec.
All right.
Okay, here you go. Right, so here's the quotes from Capcom. This is posted on Steam, by the way, so this is PC. And to all the Dragon's Dogma 2 players, we would like to update you on the status of the following items, about which we have received numerous comments from the community. To all those looking forward to the game, we sincerely apologise for any inconvenience.
Whatever.
Then they're listing the crash and bug fixes, which I won't go into. Then they're talking about looking into the option of starting a new game.
Okay.
So they can restart the game. So you can't restart the game. You can't have two characters on the go then. That's fucking stupid.
Oh,
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. Regarding frame rate, a large amount of CPU usage is allocated to each character and calculating the impact of their physical presence in various areas. In certain situations, while numerous characters appear simultaneously, the CPU usage can be very high and may affect the frame rate. We are aware that in such situations, settings that reduce GPU load may currently have a limited effect. However, we are looking into ways to improve performance in the future. And that's a lot.
So they knew it wasn't optimized, because that's just basically saying the game's not optimized.
Yeah, and they released it anyway.
We knew it wasn't optimized, and we're looking at ways of making it optimized.
Yeah, so the game really wasn't really optimized, but we're going to release it anyway because we want the money, and then we'll patch it later maybe, because that's like Games Company 101. Fix it later.
Oh, fucking hell. Unbelievable.
Now, I don't know how it runs on the consoles, Pete. This is mainly about obviously the PC, but I'd imagine if the PC can't handle it, then well,
yeah. I mean, like there's developers normally sort of optimize things for console, so I would expect the console version to be fairly stable.
I bet you it's locked at 30.
Of course it is.
Fuck's sake, mate.
Of course it is. I don't even need to look that up. Anyway, yeah, it's a shitty. They knew full well how unoptimized this game was. It's probably by some arsehole developer from underneath Capcom's wing that just doesn't know how to optimize. Whatever. Yeah, I have this affinity with games. I know which ones are going to be shit. It startles me how good I'm aware of this. And yeah, I had a feeling that this was going to be pants just from the screenshots. So
I was looking forward to this one, Pete.
Yeah,
I was looking forward to it because I was like, okay, I'll pick that up later in the year when it drops a little bit in price. But
yeah,
no, I'll go find Baldur's Gate. Hopefully that'll drop in price instead. There we are.
Anyway, I have a surprise bit of news.
Okay.
Just dropped fresh, hot from the press.
Oh, okay.
GTA 6 may be delayed. Okay. So
where is this news coming from, Pete? You're going to divulge your sources.
This is from MSN. Okay. So they're basically saying that the development is falling behind. Some Rockstar executives are said to be concerned that the game could slip into 2026. GTA 6 is currently rumored to be targeting a spring 25 release, but some sources involved in its development have said that it's probably going to be a fall of 2025, and that's much more likely. This is going to upset a lot of
A lot of
people.
people.
So the game was announced early December 23. We had a trailer towards the end of last year. And then there's a lot of GTA 6 rumors running around, but you know what Rockstar's like. They don't really announce anything until they're ready. And yeah, expect expect an announcement from them, which is basically, yeah, this is going to be slightly delayed. I'm assuming what's happening is that they've sort of entered the QA bug fix stage, right? Because there's only like, well, it's about a year now, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
about that.
yeah, so they must be in their QA bug fix stage. So it's looking like that there's a number of issues that have come up, and um, it's going to take a lot more time for them to fix than they previously thought. Now, this is my own view. This is my own speculative sort of like reading between the lines from this article. But yeah, I mean, like, did was GTA 5 delayed? Can you remember?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't think it was massively delayed, but honestly, I can't remember. I really can't. Not going that far back. But one thing I will say about Rockstar is their games are not known for being particularly buggy. Yeah. There's the occasional issue, of course, and especially with the size of the worlds they create. Of course, there's going to be the occasional thing, but overall, we're talking from a quality standpoint. And maybe because they've kind of got that reputation, if it was other studios, they might say, okay, well, just like we've just discussed with Dragon's Dogma, they might be like, well, release it anyway. But with their reputation and how much money they made, and they know that this is going to most likely be the biggest selling game of all time, they can't afford at all for it to be in any kind of rough state.
Yeah,
So they're going to take the extra year if it is that, and I could see it. Yeah, I think the fall, they don't normally release a game in the fall. Normally they like to have the window to themselves, so I can see them putting it back until January or February of 26. I can easily see them doing that. But if they feel they need the extra year to make it the game that everybody wants it to be, you just have to kind of accept it, and just maybe more studios should be doing what it sounds like they might be doing. And if more studios did take more care in it,
I
and
wholeheartedly
you know,
agree. The way I see it is take as much time as you want, fellas. It
it'll be done when it's ready.
Yeah,
So,
and do what Cyberpunk couldn't, and actually
well, yeah.
release it when it's ready. I really don't mind. I am looking forward to it, and it is a shame, but it really, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, mate. It's fine. I got other stuff
No,
to do.
and also it's one of those things you've got no control of it anyway. Even what you can, neither one of us can. Nobody on the planet other than the Rockstar CEO maybe can do anything about making it come out earlier. That's a decision they've made, and that's it. You just have to go with it, and you have to look at their track record and say normally they get it right, don't they?
Yeah,
And that's it.
yeah, they normally get it right, but I am slightly nervous because between the end of Red Dead Redemption 2 and now a lot of talented developers have left,
Mm.
story developers and you know things like that. So I am very very slightly concerned about this title, but from what it looks like, it just more than makes up for it. The technology behind it must be absolutely huge. Again, as we've probably mentioned before, I think it has like $1 billion budget. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like it's going to be a fucking amazing title. So,
Yeah, and if there is any game that is quadruple A, as silly as that sounds, it certainly wasn't Skull and Bones, by the way.
no,
Um,
no, it's going to be
if
this.
there is, it's going to be this.
Yeah,
So that's why if they want to take an extra year to make it into that, then they're going to. And we kind of should be. It sounds weird, but we kind of should be happy that they are putting enough time and caring about it, rather than to do which what 90% of the other companies seem to do, which is just release it anyway and patch it
yeah,
later on.
yeah.
So
I like that attitude from Rockstar. Right, if it's not
yeah.
ready, then let's fix it before it is ready. Yes, awesome. Don't be upset, fellas. It's not the end of the world. It'll come out,
No,
but it's probably going to take
and
up to another year.
and from last thing on it, from Rockstar's point of view as well, they know it's going to make shitloads of money. Shitloads of money. So
Yeah.
they are lucky that they have the resources they do, so they can afford to spend that extra year. Whereas maybe some of the smaller companies who maybe are living month by month can't.
Mm.
And the Rockstar are privileged, but they've earned it. They've earned it by the games they've made, but they are privileged that they can financially say it'll take another year, but we're going to make billions and billions anyway.
Yeah,
So
they're going to make $1 billion on the first 24 hours, dude. I mean,
of course, it's going to break all the records, bruv.
Of course it is.
Okay, then. Well, that's a free stories, and then the extra one that Pete's come up with that's just breaking. I'll have to have a look, have a read of that myself. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed the show for the topics. Please again leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you think we're wrong about any of the things we've said. We don't mind being challenged as long as you're respectful. We'll be respectful back and all that good stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, Pete, you take care of yourself, and everyone listen, take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.